Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's your host, Raul Infante, here with Taking Dish Sports, here with my co-host, Alexis Diaz.
What's going on, guys? What's going on?
Hey, so today we're going to do a biased trend. We're going to actually be covering New England sports today on March 27, 2019. We're not only the guys that watch sports, but we also analyze them. So today we're going to cover the successful career of Gronkowski and his retirement. We're also going to cover the Celtics and also the Red Sox that are going to be starting off on Friday, March 29, 2018. Go ahead, Alexi, and start off with Gronk.
So, this past Sunday, Monday, everybody woke up with some big news out of New England. Rob the Gronkowski retires. Number 87 hangs it up. What a career, man. What a career. The most dominant player in his position the NFL has ever seen. The most dominant player New England has ever had since Brady. Yeah, we had Randy Moss, who played phenomenals, but we're talking about a guy who started and ended his career. 3-time Super Bowl champ. Has, if not the most records by any person in a specific position. And could we talk about his straight up dominance against any corner, linebacker, anybody you could put in the game? There was no way you're covering Gronk. No way.
Yeah, you could see that right away in the beginning of his career. In 2010 and 2011, he actually had 28 touchdowns combined, which sets a record tying him with Randy Moss, actually, now that you stated him. Right away in 2010, as soon as he was in the preseason games, I saw that Tom Brady kept going to him in the red zone, had like 4 touchdowns in the preseason. I made sure I picked him up in fantasy football. And since then, he never stopped. You know, he started slowing down last year, but after that, before that, it was just straight dominance for his entire career, and all I could do is tip my hat out to Gronkowski and thank him for all the years that he gave us.
And one thing for sure is that we cannot let it slip our minds is that besides being the dominant route runner, the dominant receiving tight end, this man was a monster as a blocker. That's one thing a lot of people don't really talk about. But if you could ask any DN, D tackle, anybody, or even a linebacker that's blitzing on the outside, the edge rusher, what they're gonna tell you, we see Gronk, you already know that's like seeing a different, another offensive lineman. And one thing I want to give to him is that the consistency he had for us, the consistency he had in New England, the chemistry he had with Tom Brady. It's like one of those things. I remember the Houston game. I want to say it was the first Houston game against when Deshaun Watson came to New England. It was like a 4th and 16 or a 3rd and 16, right? And Brady's literally getting sacked, ready, like he's ready. His head is ready to hit the ground. The guy just throws the ball in the air. Gronk is probably like about 4 or 5 yards away from the ball. The guy grabs the ball out of the air, trucks 1 or 2 linebackers, and gets the first down. What can you say about a man that whatever he does, right, he's going to make sure he puts everything he has on the field?
Yeah, and that's what made Gronkowski one of the special players in the NFL, not only in New England, but obviously that's why we're so excited to talk about Gronkowski, because he played for the New England Patriots, and that's our team. Again, we're New England fans, 100%. So, going back to what I was saying, what made Gronkowski such a special player was the fact that he was a clown. He was known as the party guy off the field. And look who he plays under, one of the most strictest guys, if not the strictest organization in the NFL, which is the New England Patriots and Bill Belichick. Think about how much respect Bill Belichick has to have for a player in order for him to allow him to, carry all that shenanigans and baggage with him to a team and then still be able to perform on Sundays. What made Gronkowski special is that he could do that, even during the NFL season and come back ready to perform, ready to crack some skulls on Sunday.
Come on, the guy had a female fan writing a Gronking to remember, if you guys remember that. Come on. Right. And the fact that, see, this is what a lot of people get, a lot of people's perspectives of Gronk changed throughout the years was that the first 4 or 5 years he played for New England, it was just, look at this big old 6'7", 6'8" tight end. He's going to get the ball, run you over, boom, boom, boom. Ask any of his teammates, ask any of the coaches that coached him, ask any player that played with him that are in other teams. This guy knows football. He's one of the smartest guys other players have played with. It's not just get the guy the ball. He knows the X's and O's. He knows his audibles. That's why Brady has so much trust with the guy. And for like you were saying, back to what you were saying about Belichick letting him do what he does. With Belichick, it's simple. You come, you practice hard, you do exactly what he says, and you could do what you got to do. for the fact that Gronk was so outgoing, he was a lively character. Everybody loved him. And he still was able to do exactly what Bill Belichick wanted him to do. Just shows you what type of player and character and person Gronk was. And here in New England, we're going to miss him. We're going to miss 87 big time.
Yeah, and all that hard work paid off. There's a reason why Gronkowski is leading in 12 major stats in the NFL in only 9 seasons. That tells you something. You talk about the other great tight ends like Tony Gonzalez and Antonio Gates.
Jason Witten.
And Jason Witten, those guys, you're talking about 15-plus seasons. Tony Gonzalez and Antonio Gates themselves had 17 seasons each. Gronkowski comes out and performs his heart out in 9, and look at the stats that he comes out. And it makes me think of special plays that Gronkowski did. Not only, we'll get to our favorite plays in a second, but one play that stood out to me was when he got hurt with his back injury the last time. It's like 2 minutes into the game, Tom Brady overthrows a pass, and what does Rob Gronkowski do? He could have let the ball fly over his head. No, he decided to dive for the ball, and it ended his season right there. That was the kind of player that he was the 9 seasons that he played in New England. Put his heart out in every single game that he played for every single minute that he was on the field. So that brings me up to one point right there, Alexi. What is your favorite Gronkowski moment on or off the field? It does not matter.
All right, so I already mentioned the whole the Houston game, right? For some reason, I feel like he played his best ball against the Steelers. If you look at tape of any game he's ever played against the Steelers, regular season, the youngest player to catch 3 touchdowns, who was it against? The Steelers. Career high, I think it was, or it was second career high in total yardage. Who was it against? The Steelers. Even in the playoffs, the Steelers would never find an answer to him. So every time we faced the Steelers, I was always looking forward, okay, what is Gronk going to do this time? But one play that I definitely remember against the Steelers was the go-ahead touchdown. I want to say it was the last time we played the Steelers in the playoffs. Tom Brady found Gronk in the 4th to go ahead, and we ended up going to the Super Bowl that year. And that just shows you how much of like a dominant player Gronk was. But any interviews that you have with a reporter, you could just go on Google, on YouTube, be like, hey, Gronk messing around with a reporter. The guy gives you sound bites for days. And, the NFL is going to miss a player like that. Someone that was really personable, someone that was always joking with reporters, and someone who actually produced and dominated in the field.
Absolutely. And going back to the funny stuff like that, TMZ actually stated that they didn't have enough money to pay for all the footage that Gronkowski had out there, because they would have to pay him every time that they saw him in a place like a strip club or gentleman's club or whatever, was out there. So I'll go and state my favorite moments. I actually have 2. One of them is the one-handed grab that he had against the Denver Broncos. I absolutely hate the Denver Broncos. Going back to the Peyton Manning days, they were super competitive against us. There was one route that Gronkowski was running from the right to the left side of the field, and Tom Brady threw it right in the center of the field. It could have been picked off by somebody like Ward, but Gronkowski went out with his big left hand and caught it. My second favorite moment was when he juked out 6 of the Indianapolis Colts players, starting off with a tight end and then slipping in the end zone. In the end zone with 2 defenders right there. Those are my 2 favorite Gronkowski moments. So, man, like I said, hats off to him. We're gonna miss him.
Even the Super Bowl, he catches that 20-yard little blue pass from Tom Brady. He had, 3 defensive players on him?
Right.
And he drops right there at the 1-yard line. Sonny Michel runs it in for a touchdown. The only touchdown scored in the game in the Super Bowl. And who had a big part of that? Gronk. Telling you, Gronk, we're going to miss you, man. We're going to miss you.
Listen, can't say enough. We're looking forward to seeing you in the WWE. You'll fit right in.
Guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe.
And don't forget to hit that bell button for more notifications. So we're going to continue with New England sports, and we're going to move on to the Boston Celtics. Go ahead and cover that, Alexi.
All right, so as a Celtics fan, right, and a lot of Celtics fans around me, we predicted that this team was going to win at least 55, 60, 65 games, being the number 1 seed in the East, probably the number 1 team in the NBA as a whole. And expectations were not exceeded or not nearly even reached. And one thing I want to say, though, is that if you look at it hindsight and at the bigger picture, Celtics are still a top 8 team in the whole league. they still have an opportunity to finish with the 4th seed. And a few wins here and there, they would have been competing with the Sixers for the 3rd seed. So all is not lost. I've been hearing a lot of first-round exits. And from this group of guys, I think they have too much pride to be a first-round exit team, especially with Kyrie Irving trying to be that leader, trying to showcase people that he could be that guy. One thing I do fear, though, before heading into the playoffs is that, I don't know if you feel the same, I still don't think Brad Stevens knows his rotation off the bench, or like which guys are going to be going to are going to be finishing the 4th quarter. Which guys are going to be in the game when there's only when we're only up by 2 or losing by 2. He's still playing with certain players' minutes, and I do not like that, and that's kind of scary to watch.
Well, you know what? I've been doubting Brad Stevens since Doc Rivers left because I was such a Doc Rivers fan. But he's earned my respect. I think he's a lot smarter than what we portray him as. So I'm gonna have to take a leap of faith and actually trust that he's doing everything that he's doing with the limited minutes, for a reason. He's doing that to preserve the players. If you notice, a team like Milwaukee is really struggling to keep their key players healthy right now. And the Celtics are going in with Horford having a little bit of a problem with his opposite knee. The knee that typically he has issues with is his left knee. He's having a couple issues with his right knee. Aaron Baines is going to be 100% coming to the playoffs. Gordon Hayward is cleared of his concussion. So we're going to have our full roster. I agree with you. We're not going to be that team that gets bounced off in the first round. Teams like Philly, teams like the Pacers, teams like Milwaukee, I don't fear in the first round. A team like Toronto, that's a team that's stacked, that has plenty of talent,
and that's the only
big
team
name
that
players.
Me.
Exactly. So until I see the playoffs, my team's the team to beat, the Boston Celtics in the playoffs. So that's all I got to say on that, honestly. You got anything?
There's only 7 games left in the season, right? They play twice. They play twice against Indiana, twice against Miami, one game against Orlando, one game against Brooklyn. All those 4 teams I mentioned are playoff teams. Even if we finish 4-3, I'll take a 4-3 at the last 7 games of the season. Shit, we could even go 5-2. But one thing I know for a fact, though, is that this team is going to get it together and they're going to produce when it's time to produce in the playoffs.
Yeah, just having forward momentum. That's what's important. It's just like the Boston Red Sox last year. They had a couple times where they were struggling. For the most part, they were successful, but the important thing is going out strong towards the playoffs. And so we're actually going to move on to the Boston Red Sox, the 2018 World Series champions. Here we go.
Champions.
Right there.
Champions, baby.
So we're going to kick it off with that. They start the season against the Seattle Mariners actually on Friday. So go ahead and start off with that, Alexis.
So one thing I do like about the Red Sox management, what they did was that they literally bringing back the same team as last year. The only difference was that Kimbrel left and Joe Kelly left, right? And there were 2 pivotal parts of us winning the World Series. But I think they're doing good with finding replacements for them. One thing I do like is the fact that they were able to sign Chris Sale. And what a deal did they get? Chris Sale was easily a $200 million man if he wanted to leave. But what was his contract? 150, 135?
Yeah, they gave him an extension. They gave him 5 years, $150 million, which is actually less than the yearly salary of David Price at $32 million. Chris Sale, I have full respect for him. He understands that he's not a pitcher that has proved himself 100%. Yes, he is the ace. Yes, he's most likely the most dominant pitcher in the league when he's healthy. But the last 2 seasons, he's been limited because of that shoulder injury. He wants to go out there and prove it to the fans and also show that he wants to stick in Boston. So full respect for him for getting that contract and sticking around, because aces are really hard to find in the league. So that makes me extremely happy knowing that Chris Sale is going to stick around for at least 5 more seasons. Being on that, on pitchers, I want to cover one part that kind of scares me this season. They were able to figure it out in the playoffs, but what can they do in the regular season? Is the bullpen. The Yankees have the best big name relievers in the league. and they're by far the second best team. I don't care if the Los Angeles Dodgers got to the World Series last season. You look at the talent level from the American League and the National League. The American League destroyed the National League last season. Look at the MVP candidates of the American League and the National League. It's way different compared to both leagues. So going back to the Red Sox, the two players that they're considering having as closers are Matt Barnes and Brazier. Brazier came in from Japan last year and bullied his way into the bullpen. Barnes had his moments where he struggled a lot, where he made us, unsteady on our seats, because there was plenty of times in the season where he came in, you're like, oh my God, here we go again. We're about to blow this win. But Brazier will come in and he did what he had to do. Both guys, however, performed at a high level in the playoffs. So, that's my take on that.
So my thing is that if Alex Cora, he already said that why not us, as in going back to the World Series. Throughout the past 10, 12 years, we actually had a lot of teams going to the World Series. You have some teams that didn't win it, but you have a team like the Giants. They went to the World Series, 5 times, 4 times? No, 3 times in a matter of 5 years. 2010, 2012, 2014. And they won. They were victorious all 3. And the reason I bring that team up, because I feel like the Red Sox are sort of like a replica of that team. What is it?
Right.
Young talent, good talent, guys with long-term contracts that are producing with a great manager. Now, the one thing that scared me is Mookie Betts, because he only signed that 1-year deal with us, right? But you think Boston management isn't going to open up the checkbooks for that dude? Come on, he's probably been the best player in the Red Sox for the past 10 years.
Listen, Mike Trout was able to get $400 million, right? 10 years. I actually don't like the contracts being that long. I really hope that the MLB, sets a rule there where the max that you could sign for is like 7 years, because by the time that the players actually hit free agency for the first time and get those max contracts, you're talking about players, getting into their 30s, their early 30s, their late 30s. So I actually don't agree with that. But now that we're on the Mookie Betts topic, we're going to talk about him. The big question is Mookie Betts worth $400 million? I think he is easily the second best offensive player in the league behind Mike Trout, just like I stated. But I think he's worth $380, But if the Red Sox want to give him $400 million, do not make the same mistake that the Red Sox did with Pedro Martinez, with David Ortiz, and Manny Ramirez. Don't forget, those 3 guys were the guys that were on the same team when the Red Sox hadn't won a World Series in 86 years. Exactly. You got great momentum in the 2000s right now with these young players. Pay them their money. Mookie Betts is one of those players that has shown that he could perform in a big city. New York, Boston, LA, Houston, those cities like that. It's not everybody that can perform in those cities. Case in point, a guy like Carl Crawford. That's why I say go out and pay Mookie Betts his money. Go ahead and let Mike Trout stay in LA. I'll tell you this much, he's not going to get any rings there. He's going to stay there and probably finish his career without winning a championship.
So my thing is this: do you think the Chris Sale extension is a sign to try to keep these players together as long as possible? Because if I'm Mookie Betts, right, he signed that 1 year, $20 million this year, right? He's playing for $20 million this year, right? Last year, I think he was like the first player in I don't know how many years to win a Gold Glove, World Series. He was actually the Triple Crown winner, right?
MVP.
And MVP, look at that. Like all that, right? And for him to just sign that 1 year deal with $20 million, I think he's going to test the market out there, because money talks, man. And if there's a team out there that's ready to offer him, hey, man, you're going to get the biggest contract of all time, and it's going to be a long time before anybody breaks it. I could see a team desperate enough to bring in a good player to pay him over $400 million. Listen, Mike Trout got paid. Who was the other guy? Manny Machado. He got paid. Manny Machado got paid.
Right, and Bryce Harper. But those are talented guys, but that's exactly what I'm trying to say. The Red Sox have to learn from their prior mistakes, and actually sign a guy before they hit free agency. Do not let Mookie Betts get to free agency. Sign him now. Guarantee that he's going to be a Red Sox for life, and he's going to produce. He could play offense. He could play defense. He's a special kind of player. So my next question is, with the talent that the Red Sox have again this year, and with the faith that you're putting in that team because of the pitching, the starting pitching, and the offensive production, can the Red Sox match 108 wins this season, or produce more than 108 wins this season?
So as of right now, I actually have them between 92 and 100 games. Why? Because Those two closers that left us, they were big time closers for us. They came through close games, games where opponents were making a comeback and we were still up 1 run. You were throwing Kimbrel there. All right, Kimbrel, end the 9th inning. You were throwing Kelly, and this get us through the 8th so we could set out Kimbrel in the 9th. My thing is that until we find those guys that we could replace them with, it's going to be a little while, but I don't think it's going to take long, and I could see us easily being the number 1 team right again.
Yeah, I'll say it's under 108 because of like how weak the bullpen is. However, the team might come out and surprise because there's a lot of guys that are in contract years. Players that are in contract years step up and step up big. So that's my take right there. I'll take the under for this season. But hey, prove me wrong, Boston Red Sox. That's what we want out here. Again, your host Raul Infante with Taking Dish Sports and your co-host Alexis Diaz.
Hey guys, thank you. We appreciate it. Like and subscribe.
Hey, and don't forget, we're not only the guys that watch these sports, but we analyze them.